Welcome, everyone, to this week's episode of Wholesaling the Cool Way with Mark Cool and Jasper Cool. I'm Mark, my son Jasper. We're both wholesalers. We do some other stuff too, some creative financing, buy and hold, etc., subject to. But the primary bread and butter for our businesses is wholesaling. I've been specializing in land for the last few years, and Jasper's been specializing in houses. So we started this mastermind to support each other to grow our businesses. And then just over the past few months, we were like, hey, let's open it up at like a discussion with more people who might benefit from it, and from our experiences. And so that's this. It's a mastermind that's sort of like I don't know, Sunday coffee, talking about business and the things that we are learning from, and victories and challenges, and tools and tips and tricks and stuff like that. So normally we'll start it off with like a brief check-in and any inspiration or education we've had in the past week. So Jasper, you up for kicking it off with that?
Let's do it. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So this past week, for inspiration, I'll start with that. I read this book start to finish called The Go-Giver Marriage. So if anyone's familiar with The Go-Giver, the original book, they're up to 5 books now, and
Wow.
so I purchased all of them this week, the ones I didn't have at least. And so I have read The Go-Giver. Obviously, it's one of my favorites, and anyone listening, I would highly recommend that book for anything, business, personal, whatever. It's a great book. And then I read The Go-Giver or How to Be a Go-Giver Seller, something like that. It's all like Go-Giver something. So I read the Go-Giver Sales book, and then there's 3 more that I didn't know about. So Go-Giver Marriage, which is obviously on relationships, Go-Giver Leader, how to be a better leader, and then Go-Giver Influencer. So I think that one's probably dealing with some sort of social media aspect of things. So I'm excited to read those other 2 books I just mentioned. But this week I read the Go-Giver Marriage, and I really enjoyed that. And for those of you who haven't read the book, I like them because they're like a parable style book. So it's not like a traditional maybe relationship or business book. It's like woven throughout this fun story, and it's really easy to read. And this one I thought was cool because it has both. So the other Go-Giver books that I've read are just like that kind of parable style. It's like a story start to finish. This one was a story for about half the book, and then the second half of the book was like how to actually apply with the writer, using some specific examples on how to apply the lessons from the story. So I really enjoyed that. I would recommend that to anyone. And yeah, it was fun. I already put into practice a couple of the tips, and it was really fun to do that with Naja. And
Cool.
yeah,
That
so
sounds
I
great.
enjoyed that. Yeah, I enjoyed that, and it's it was inspiring for me to learn how to be a better partner, as well as it was inspiring for me to find out that these guys have grown their series to 5 books now, and maybe they're writing even more. So
Yeah.
uh, I'm inspired to see their success as well. But besides that, I also listened to a very good interview this week with Tim Ferriss's podcast. He interviewed a guy named Morgan Housel, and he wrote a book that I really enjoyed called The Psychology of Money. And his approach is, kind of refreshing because it's different than a lot of other people. But he said one really good quote on this podcast. Uh, Man, I wish I had it on top of my mind. It might come to me later. But basically, he just talks about like reducing your needs and wants is always easier than making more money. And his quote was something like, "Your greatest financial asset is not having to impress anybody else," or
Yeah.
something like it was something like that. And it's so true, because we hear about these people that make exorbitant amounts of money and they blow it all, as opposed to people that might make 1/10 of that money, but they have a lot of savings, they have assets, they have all this stuff for the
And a
rest
great
of their life.
lifestyle too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and so it was a good reminder, because I like nice things, like I think a lot of people do, but it's a good reminder to just make sure everything you buy, bring into your life or upgrade your lifestyle, wherever you're doing it for you, and you're not doing it to impress other people, because
Yeah.
that's never going to get you anywhere. And so, I really enjoyed that podcast, and it wasn't just talking about that tidbit. He knows a lot about history, which was cool. And so I bought one of his books that he recommended. A couple of them were kind of like sounded kind of dark and kind of doomsday, but he kind of likes that style. And Tim Ferriss actually kind of called him out on it because he asked him like what are some of his favorite books, and he started naming a few and like the stories. And Tim was like, okay, how about some books that don't end with people like killing themselves or doing it, like because his history can be dark, but he really enjoys that as a writer, I guess. So that was like the first thing that came to mind. But I ordered one that was called The Great Depression, a Diary, and it was written by someone who literally like kept a diary throughout the Great Depression and
Wow.
later turned into a book. And so I'm excited to read that one because I don't usually read history books, but the way that he described it was very cool. And he said he's writing a new book. I think it's called Everything is the Same, something like that. But his philosophy is that things in history always repeat themselves,
Yeah.
and everything ends up being the same. And he said another good quote that you probably heard before was something like, "The market can stay irregular longer than people can stay solvent," something like that. And just he was just encouraging everyone that like during the bear market that we've had, or sorry, the bull run that we've had the last few years, where it seems like everything was going up in value. He said during a bull run, you want to make sure that you stack cash so that you don't have to force sell when the bear market inevitably comes. And so just a lot of good tidbits in there on finance and some fun stories about his life too. So I enjoyed that one, and I was inspired by Tim Ferriss too. He shared some of his own stories on the podcast, and
Yeah, I had
uh,
that one bookmarked to listen to soon. That's been on
yeah,
my list. Yeah.
yeah, that was a good one. And apparently that was the second interview they did, so I might go back and listen to the first one as well. But yeah, I think that's enough. Just those two were the main things that stood out to me this week for inspiration.
Nice. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah.
Well, for me, on a personal note, I'm excited that I'm coming to Scottsdale later this week. So that's awesome. We get to spend some time together in person for the first time in a while. So pumped for that. And otherwise, as far as inspiration goes, it was one of those weeks where I listened to a lot of stuff and I can't remember, but it was good stuff, you know. Most recent thing was listening to Trevor Mock on real estate disruptors with Steve Trang, and that was a really good
Mhm.
one. The title of the thing is about the best website template for a wholesaling site, but it's really so much more. They talk about a lot more than that, and
Mhm.
it's interesting because I was saying to you, Jasper, offline, it's just like this 10x, 2x idea, this mindset idea of going for bigger vision and bigger goals and expanding yourself and letting go of the things that don't light you up and stuff. And one of the takeaways I had from listening to this. I actually made some notes in my journal here, but one of the things that Trevor Mock was saying is that he started doing like an energy audit every quarter for himself and looking at, this is in line with the 10x 2x concept, but just looking at what are the things that bring me energy that I do, and what are the things that drain my energy that I've been doing, and how can I, create a plan to offload the things that drain my energy and do more of the things that are expanding my energy and I'm excited about. And so then you
Yeah.
just get to work with like going, okay, well, I've been spending like this many hours a week on this thing and it drains my energy. So let's get this one off first. And then I can replace those hours with something that lights me up, and then just
Mhm.
gradually doing that and like just sort of doing that periodically, going, how many things am I doing in my day-to-day work that are draining my energy that I don't need to be doing, and what are
Mhm.
the things that I want more time to do that are lighting me up. And that ultimately will make you more money and more successful, but it's also just like a overall life thing of like going through your life. Like, there's this quote that I love about, building a great life, is just about stacking days. It's just about having one great day and having them one after another, like
Yeah.
figuring out to have a great day and just stacking it. So I think that feeds into that concept too. But yeah, so that was a big takeaway from that. They talk about a lot of other stuff in that podcast. It's a really good conversation. Um, Other than Steve Trang being such a mumbler that I can't understand him half the time. Like that guy, you know what I mean? Like he
Yeah.
mumbles so much. He's like, blah, 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 blah. It's like, dude, what did you just say? uh, and I want to hear what he says, but he's not. He's a mumble talker sometimes. But
Yeah.
yeah, I really love that podcast. If you haven't listened to Real Estate Disruptors, there's so much great content on there, and like his mission is to make 100 millionaires and like provide really high value content, and he does that. So I appreciate him for that.
Yeah.
And just playing about the mumbling, but sometimes it's tough to understand him for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was cool to hear like Trevor Mock's story too. Like he goes into a little bit about how he started, and he's done multiple multiple businesses that have been successful. Carrot is one of them, carrot.com. But he went
Uh-huh.
into a big story about the domain of Carrot, and how it was really important for him to get carrot.com, and he couldn't get it. And he had on carrot.com for a long time, like
Yeah.
on Carrot, and he really wanted Carrot, and he ended up spending 600K on it
Yeah.
ultimately to get. Jeffrey heard this story? Yeah,
Yeah.
it was like this guy, some artist bought it in the 1990s, and he like tried to build a relationship with him to see if he could get it from him over time, and the guy never wanted to sell it. And then he, like, the artist passed away, and before he could get it, some other startup got it, and they bought it
Oh,
on terms. And it was like, oh, they had bought it on terms before he passed away, but for like 250K. And then he was trying to get it from them, and he couldn't get it from them. Then it went to GoDaddy auction, and then some investor guy who's like a philanthropist who tries to like, he got it and tried to get the family of the artist who died money from it, and so he like tried to get top dollar. Anyways, this whole crazy story, but he was talking about the importance of it for him, about really just owning a simple name and a simple brand and the color orange, and like being recognizable, and having people think of him whenever they think of a carrot or think of orange, and that it was worth the 600K that he ended up paying for it, to have that brand recognition and that simple one word thing and the .com and all of it. And it made sense to listen to it. Like, I was like, wow, 600K for a domain. Wouldn't you just get like carrot.net or carrot.org or
yeah.
something, But it was important to him, and he made a good argument for why he did it, and it was interesting. So yeah,
Yeah.
but crazy that, and he said he would do it again too. Like, he's like, I would do that again. I would spend that money again. It was totally worth it. So
Yeah. Wow.
interesting. Yeah. But yeah, I think that's all I have. I'm continuing to read 10x, 2x, and well, I did go to a RIA event, and we have this thing in North Carolina called the 100 Club, that an investor that Jasper and I know runs, and it's like, the premise of it is, if you've done 100 deals, it's for people who are more experienced, and usually somebody is a speaker who's done 100 deals or more. So the guy who was a speaker is actually Adam Schneider's partner, Jasper. He
Oh,
in
cool.
Homevestors, yeah, and he's been in Homevestors for, I don't know, like a dozen years now or something like that, and he's really sold on that. And for people who don't know, Homevestors is like a franchise for wholesaling, where it's like cooperative advertising, and you get leads for your region, and then you get a lot of deals. And he'd done like 175 deals in the last 10 to 12 years, and he broke down like the deals he had done, and stuff he had learned, and stuff he learned about the market, and trends, and different types of properties that he's held on to. Like, I learned about, he has one that's like with some sort of a charity that's for people rehabbing from drugs and alcohol, and you can like have a rental house, and you can rent it to this charity, and you just get your money every time, and it's a really good
Oh,
thing. Plus, you're doing good work. I can't remember. I wrote it down. Oxford House, I think it's called. But he said he's
cool.
had a really good experience with that, and then he's trying an experiment with this, the thing where you can take one house and chop it all up into bedrooms and have a common kitchen and a living room or two. And he's like doing like 10 bedrooms and renting it. It's almost like a hotel, but it's in a residential house. So
Yeah.
experimenting with one of those. Got a couple Airbnbs. So it was cool just to see the diversification he's done, and him talking about like his business and how he'd done with flips and with wholesales and wholetails and all the different types of deals, and what his success ratio was, and where he had lost or made money, or what his biggest ROI was. Like, he broke that all down. So just cool to see people with a lot of experience sharing stuff like that. Enjoyed it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's it for me.
That's cool. That's awesome.
Yeah, yeah, I always appreciate, and it's great. Like, for people listening, if you do have a RIA, a Real Estate Investors Association, I encourage you to go to some events, because it's a great way to meet people who are doing deals, and learn from people with more experience or different experiences. And um, we do this in a vacuum a lot. We do it on our computer, on our phone, and stuff, and to meet actual people who are doing deals. Like, I met a guy who we'd done deals with before, but I hadn't met him in person. We'd just done deals with him, so it was cool
Yeah.
to meet him. And in relationships with people we've done deals with, like, it's good to see people again, so they remember, oh yeah, I like this guy, I want to do business with him. So all that's
Mhm.
beneficial. And another win I got out of that, if so just as far as victories go, i I've been struggling with some of the Spanish language people that we do business with, and like, I'm semi fluent but not fluent enough to always make people feel confident in me and when I'm talking
Uh,
to them in Spanish. So I met a guy at this thing who runs a Spanish RIA event every once a month. And I was asking him like, hey, I was thinking about coming to that, but I'm not 100% fluent. And he's like, oh no, come on. Most people are bilingual. It's fun, you know? So, and I was like, yeah, maybe I could find somebody who wanted to do like part-time translation there. And he's like, oh yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to go to this event next week and like, see if I can meet somebody who wants to work part-time in my business as a translator who wants to learn the business, like somebody who's up and
Yeah.
will I continue to work on being more fluent, because I do conversations with people in Spanish, but a lot of them I struggle with to communicate as effectively as I would like to with people. So, I'm still learning my Spanish. It might be an opportunity. So, anyway,
Yeah.
yeah. So next, let's do. Normally, we'll just do like a brief business check-in. I think this episode too, we want to touch on the whole SMS crisis, or the sea change with SMS marketing that's going on right now, just for people who are wanting to know our experience, or want to hear more about what's going on. So I think
Yeah.
we'll do that as part of our business check-in, but also Jasper and I normally do it like a thumbnail sketch of what's going on, maybe deal breakdowns or any tools or tips or tricks we've learned about. So I'll let you take that, Jasper, for your check-in on the business side.
Yeah. Well, let's do it. So I'll run through KPIs real quick, and then I can jump into yeah, I'll just go with the flow, I guess. So for this week, we got 59 leads and made 42 offers. So leads are much lower than what they were about a month ago because of the SMS that you touched on. But having 59 is a win for me after the last couple of weeks. They've been much lower, so that's been nice to have more leads coming in. And 42 offers is solid, especially with the lead count that we have right now. So that's that. We also got 2 contracts this week. Sold one of those. Well, technically sold 2, but we don't have EMD yet, so I'll count it as 1 for now. And then didn't close anything this week. So since I didn't close anything, I've been doing like a brief like closed deal breakdown the last couple podcasts. So I could do a brief contract breakdown on these 2 if that would be helpful for anybody. So I'll just run through it real quick. So for these deals that we got this week, they were both from SMS, ironically. One of them was a very quick turnaround. So I think the last few episodes we've kind of highlighted, how long it can take sometimes to actually get a contract and then get that contract closed. But in this example, we got this lead on October 11th, and we contracted it this past week. So that's the end of October, beginning of November. And so that was only about 3 weeks until contract, and then
Yeah, that's
hopefully we'll
awesome.
close it. Yeah, and then hopefully we'll close it this month. So that's only about 45, 60-day time frame from when the lead came in and when we close it. So sometimes you do get those, which is always nice.
Yeah.
But to go back just a little bit further, the campaign that actually got us this lead was launched in August. So if you're looking at that, then it's still a few months, but still shorter than I think the last couple of deals that I mentioned. So that's good. It's nice to have those fill up your pipeline when you have quicker deals like that. So the other one, let me look at this real quick. Our other contract this week, lead came in August, and so we followed up with her. Podio says 15 times, might be slightly more. I don't know if that's counting text, SMS drips, and stuff like that. But yeah, we got that lead in August. That was from a campaign that launched in June, and then we contracted it here again at the beginning November/end of October. So that's about, what's that? About 5 months from when the campaign launched, and then about August, September, October. So about 2.5, 3 months from when the lead came in our system. So that one definitely took more follow up than this other one. But we got those both signed. And huge shout out to Duncan. I don't know if he would ever listen to our podcast, but on this one deal, on the first deal I mentioned that was in Durham, Duncan went over there about a week ago, or 1 week ago on this Saturday. And the husband was very excited to sell and everything. He was totally ready to sign. And the wife was not. There are soon to be exes, unfortunately.
Uh,
And it's not a good relationship at all. And so Duncan called me after the fact, and he was explaining to me how frustrated the husband was because she refused to sign on last Saturday with Duncan. But thanks to Duncan and his charm and everything, she agreed to meet with him again on this past Tuesday, and she signed that time. And then she even told me and my team, she was like, "Yeah, I wouldn't have signed if it wasn't for him." So huge shout out to Duncan.
nice.
And yeah, so I really appreciate him. I always tell him that, but just wanted to shout him out on here in case he ever listens to this, or someone might send it to him or
And
something.
Duncan's like
But
a boots on the ground guy, mobile notary who does a lot of different things for both of our
yeah,
businesses. He's awesome.
yeah. I guess I could expound on that briefly for anyone listening. If you guys ever need boots on the ground, a lot of people end up posting on Facebook groups and stuff, and maybe working with other wholesalers or realtors. But my dad and I have found that mobile notaries can be great boots on the ground, and not everyone's going to be as good as Duncan. Disclaimer, but you can just filter through, some of the people that might not be quite as good. And a great site to find notaries quickly is called 123notary.com. It's as simple as that. You can go on there, you can plug in a city, zip code, county, whatever, and it'll just spit out any notaries that are in that county or close to that county. And so that's literally how I found Duncan, a few years back, and we've been working together ever since. And I have another guy named Jonathan who helps me in a different area, which is like almost 2 hours from Duncan. I wouldn't want to make him, drive that consistently. So you can find, like I said, great boots on the ground there. They can do everything from taking photos for you, lock boxes. They put up for sale signs, I know, for my dad and his team, and they can obviously get contracts and seller docs signed and stuff. So there's a wide range of things they can do, because you can kind of think of them as like Uber or DoorDash drivers, because they're typically on the road anyways, but they just have much more skills than those workers, that, in my opinion,
Yeah.
to actually help you get deals in some cases, but also just communication skills with people that they're meeting up with. So yeah, but that's pretty much it for my KPI check-in. Um, I can definitely touch on some challenges. SMS has been a challenge, and we can go back and forth on that, I guess, a little bit. So, trying to think of what would be helpful for the audience. I can address the challenge, and then we can do that. So the challenge for me is that I've been on launch control 100%. My dad's been using two different platforms, one of them being launch control. But it seems about 2 or 3 weeks ago there was a big change in the carriers' regulations or whatever, and so launch control went down for a bit. They deleted everyone's templates that I know, and they replaced them with their own templates kind of overnight. And so, luckily, I had most of my templates saved, not all of them, but that saved a bunch of time to try to kind of edit and make new templates. But I know a lot of my friends, they were just texting me. They're like, launch control, just delete all my templates. I was like, yeah, me too. And most people didn't have them backed up, which is frustrating that they didn't give us any sort of warning or anything like, hey, we're deleting your templates, like save them now. Like, nope, we just woke up and our templates are gone. So
Yeah.
that's kind of a bummer. But it just, the learning point there is that anytime you have data with another software, back it up, back it up somehow. Whether that's Podio, like I think we've touched on in the past. I have a software that backs up my Podio now, and apparently that's something that you need with every software. So it just kind of was a kick in the pants. But going forward, I'll definitely make sure that I have everything saved somewhere else, like a Google Drive or something. So yeah, so that was the first challenge. Deleting the templates, having to come up with all new templates. My team was helping me with that, so it didn't take me quite as long. But yeah, we had to come up with a bunch of new templates, and we were testing them, and deliverability was much lower than it used to be. I used to, and this is just deliverability, not even response rate. So deliverability just means, in my understanding, just how many texts are actually being delivered to the recipient.
Yeah. They
And so
get
we used
blocked
to
by the
be,
carriers with certain, yeah, they get flagged and blocked with certain language.
yeah, yeah, so I know we used to be, in the high 90s for deliverability, and for a minute there, it went way, way down. Thankfully, towards the end of this week, it seemed like maybe they made some system on their or some tweak to their backend system, and now we're back up again in those high 90s for deliverability. But earlier this week, we were sending out batches that were like 60% deliverability, and that's not even taking into account response rate. So just for the audience, like if you send out 100 texts, a batch of 100, 60% get delivered, only 60 got delivered. And then out of those, maybe your response rate's 80%. So then you get even fewer, so you can see how that affects things. But thankfully, it seems like that's on the upswing now. The deliverability is back up. So yeah, I think that's, mostly my challenges for the launch control this week. I was thinking about, talking with my team and just thinking to myself about switching carriers, but then we were talking offline, and I talked to a couple other of my friends, and it seems like this is just kind of SMS wide. Like every
Yeah.
every carrier is going to kind of have issues right now. They're obviously going to deal with them differently. So it wasn't, I don't think, the best the way the launch control did it, but they have to protect their butts, so I understand. But yeah, I was thinking of, jumping ship and trying another platform, but then I'm like, hey, they're probably gonna have issues now too. So I think I'm just gonna play it by ear and stick it out a few weeks or month with launch control, see if things improve, see how these new templates perform and, kind of go from there. But it's definitely pretty much cut my lead flow in half because, like I said, deliverability was low and then response rate's been much lower. I think because of the
Because the
carrier
templates are
regulations.
crappy. The limitations that you have are so bad. I mean,
Absolutely. Yeah.
and I've got some detailed information on what is actually allowed. I don't know how much, did they share that with you? What you can actually do, Jasper?
Yeah, they sent a couple emails,
Yeah. So
and
you
so
got the
we've been
same email
monitoring.
as I did. Yeah.
I think so. Yeah. And so they also sent an email just in case you didn't get this, because I didn't get this one and my team did, because I have two accounts. And so for whatever reason, um, anyways, they got an email, I think it was Friday, that the drip campaigns now you can't use in your drips prospect name or address or anything like that. And if you
Ridiculous.
do, they're going to delete your templates.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just in case, yeah, I'm assuming you saw that, but just in case you didn't, I wanted to let you know because
Yeah, no.
we had to change all of our drips as well. So yeah, but I think that's about it for my challenges with launch. We have been experimenting with different templates than what they gave us, obviously, and so we've been experimenting with one, but it's kind of like I feel like playing with fire because I think you might get flagged for this, but
Yeah.
we've been experimenting with one where we reach out and we basically try to ask in a like in a roundabout way if this is the right person, and then from there we go into the script. But I have heard from a couple sources that those might get flagged, so we
Yeah.
might have to change those. But those had a way better response rate than the other templates. So yeah, it's just a learning experience. It's something where like I've been spoiled all year, and a lot of people have, with launch control because it's been totally hands off. So now it's something where you have to be hands on, and you have to monitor your account daily. Pretty much, that's pretty much the change that I'm seeing so far, and as well as declining response rates and stuff. So I don't know how long this will last. If SMS will go away forever, or if this is like a temporary fix that they're having to make to just please the carriers. But I mean, we'll see. But I'll turn it over to you for any more information and stuff on this.
Yeah. I mean, similar. I mean, my experience is different than yours because we got flagged like 3 months. We got flagged in August, right? So August, September, October, we were
Yeah.
basically down. We were down for 3 months on launch control because we got flagged, and we weren't doing things any differently than other real estate investors, from what I can tell. We weren't. We were just using the same types of messaging and stuff. Um, but we were
Yeah.
down, and then we came back up, and then like a week, we were up for less than a week, and then they said we were blacklisted. And then, so I was like, okay, now I have to get a whole new EIN and start all over. But then a week later, I get a message, hey, you're back online, but we have all these changes. And by the way, we have new templates for you. So, Jasper alluded to the templates, but, if you're not in launch control, you have each template, and we had probably 7 initial message templates. Each template has like 5 messages within it, right? And then with each
Yep.
message, you have these text spinners where you have to have like 3 words that are different. You have to have 2 text spinners, and you have to. So to build these things takes hours if you're building them. If you're not using them from other people's
Yeah.
templates. So I had spent hours because I had to tweak all of ours for land, because most of the templates that you even get from other investors or from launch control are geared toward either real estate agents or wholesaling for houses. So ours were very
Hmm.
customized, and that's not even talking about the drip sequences and the drip campaigns, which are more templates that you're building, like another 7 or 8 templates that get sent out
Yep.
when you're trying to put somebody in a follow-up sequence. So just a crazy amount of work that got erased. I don't know if we have some of it backed up, but it doesn't really matter if we have it backed up, because the templates that they have now are just super ridiculous. They're just like, hey, welcome to the homeowners, club for, you know, for Durham County, for more information, type yes, and it's like, who's going to respond to that? It's just like, so,
Yeah.
so my understanding is that it's like the only things we're really allowed to do are opt-in based marketing. So it's like
Yeah.
you have to have prompt the person to type yes for more information, but you're not allowed to use the person's name or their address until you've engaged them in a conversation. So you're not allowed to say, "Hey Bob, saw you had a property in Durham County. Just wanted to check in with you about it." You can't do any of that anymore.
Yeah.
And so the 2 opt-in frameworks that you can use are welcome to the homeowners, blah, 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 for this and that. Would you like more information about values in your neighborhood, which is like a real estate thing, agent thing, or
Yeah.
or it's blah, 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 type yes to opt in. How many people are going to type yes to opt in? Like, we've already learned in sales that yes sales is really bad. Like, Jasper and I follow this book called Go for No. And even when you read Influence by Cialdini, which is a big sales book for me about human nature, people have the ability to say no, they feel empowered, and then that's where the sales process begins. You don't want to force people into a corner to say yes, because it's going to make them angry, backed into a corner, and you're not going to get good response. So now we're set up where we have to get people to say yes or to type yes to get them to talk to us, or we have to say welcome to this thing. And like, they all sound really hokey and stupid. So we're gonna be pushing. They sound terrible.
Yeah, they're
These
pretty bad.
templates. I mean, we probably post some in the show notes just for people can laugh, but it's not much different than what the joke I made earlier. It's just a really dumb.
Yeah.
So, so anyway, the whole game has changed now, because we were just texting people and going, "Hey, Bob, I saw you had a lot in Pittsburgh, North Carolina. We'd love to talk to you more about it. Have you considered selling it?" You could say stuff like this, and people could say, "Yeah, I have considered selling it." Okay, great. Well, let's talk. But now it's none of
Yeah.
that. It's all out the window. It's a whole new world. And like Jasper said, like it knocks down the response rate, because when we're doing these stupid messages, people aren't going to respond to them because they're not real or conversational. And then secondly, then you're getting lower conversion rate, right? We're getting less leads and less contracts, et cetera, et cetera. So
Yeah.
people have been
Yeah.
getting 5 to 10x ROI, which is return on investment, from text over the last year or two, and that's probably going to dramatically drop. And so then, I guess the next thing that you didn't really talk about, Jasper, is like, what will we do? Will we? You did mention that you're going to stick with it and see how it goes and see if you can ride it out and see what the
Yeah.
response rate is going to be. But what it means for me is we're going to have to go back into some more direct mail, which was our bread and butter before we switched to text. And we put most of our eggs in the basket of text because it was going so well. And we've really
Yeah.
minimized direct mail because it's a lot more expensive than text too. Direct mail costs
Hmm.
a whole lot more. Jasper, I know you've done cold calling. I've got a guy who used to cold call on my team in acquisition, so he's okay with, like, he's volunteered to jump in with that. But anyway, it's cold calling, it's direct mail. It's possible pay per click. I know people are getting results with Facebook marketing. I haven't tried that, but I think the thing is nowadays, or one of the things we're getting to more and more, as we have these discussions, is we have to broaden our base of marketing channels so that we can't get beat up so badly by one of them going down.
Yeah.
So like, and part of why I stopped doing direct mail is because the response rate went way down. But that's because people are flooding the market because of YouTube University, and there are 1,000 investors trying their first mail campaign, even though it might be
Yeah.
their only mail campaign. But so anyway, the point of it is broaden your base. SMS is changing radically. More to come, right? We'll see how it pans out and how much I will be pushing the envelope with my templates. I will be seeing what I can do and not get flagged, but I might get flagged, but I don't see using the templates that they provided us and having much success. So
Yeah.
anyway, anything else to add to that?
Yeah, I would just add, kind of for you, but also anyone listening. So obviously, the initial templates that they added are garbage, and response rates down, all that stuff. But as you said, pushing the envelope, that's what I've done with my initial templates. So all of our follow-up messaging is exactly the same as our old initial messaging. And so what we're doing is just doubling down on follow-up templates and sending out as many follow-up campaigns daily as opposed to new messages, because those were being very explicit like we were before. Hey, Bob, I saw your property at this address. Would you like to sell it? We're being very explicit like we were before. And so I'm just looking at my launch right now just to share some numbers with people. Since the update, which was, I don't know, maybe 2 weeks ago, a week and a half ago. These follow-up templates that I'm using, which, like I said, they're the same as my initial templates previously. These are averaging anywhere from 91 being the lowest up to 97% delivery percentage, which is pretty good. And response rate is anywhere from 7 to 11%.
That's great.
So pretty much about the same before with my follow-up messaging. Obviously, before this update, my new templates were averaging about double that in terms of response rate, which was like 16 to 20%, so response rate is still lower, but in this sense, we're at least being direct with the person so we can get better responses as opposed to just people confused, you know?
And so the
Um,
carriers will let you do that because you've already made initial contact with these people.
I think so.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I haven't heard anything so far from launch control like, hey, you have to edit your follow up. So I'm gonna try it. You know, until they do, they might ramp up something like that. But I think that's true what you said. I think, and especially because some of these people have already responded in the past. So I think the people that you might have texted 5 times and they never replied, and then you're continuing, they might like flag that maybe.
yeah,
But
yeah.
for people that have responded in the past, I think you're good to go. I think you can send whatever
I
you
think
want.
that's
So,
true. Yeah, yeah. And I think just to double down on a point you made earlier, I think that this is industry wide. I think it doesn't matter if you're using launch control or we have smarter contact. I know there are other platforms you can use to bulk text, but I think it's what's happening is that the regulatory commission that the carriers use to, you know, to make their customers happy, so their customers aren't getting overly spammed or, you know, getting angry with the carrier, that's going to be
yeah,
clamping down on all different platforms that are using SMS marketing. So this could affect, if you're using Podio, it could affect your smartphone use, you know, especially if you're using a dialer within smartphone or, you know, for
yeah,
text or any platform you're using for text, you're going to have to adhere to these things eventually, or you're going to get suspended or blocked or, you know, whatever, you're going to get disciplinary action. So that's what it seems like is happening, is that for whatever reason the government probably came in and said we're getting way too many complaints about spam texting, you know, goes to the carriers, you guys have got to do something about this, it's out of hand, and now the carriers are having to take action and clamp down on this type of messaging that we've been doing and having good results with. So
yeah.
the party's over for now.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah,
Yeah. But like I was texting you offline, and you know what you said earlier, a lot of people have been fortunate to get a great return with SMS, which is like 10x or more. Some people, and I was lucky to be one of them. So even if my response rate is halved, if that translates to a 5x ROI, it's still something I'm happy with. It's not amazing like it was before,
yeah,
but it's
it's
still something
closer to direct
I would
mail and cold calling.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's still something I would keep running, you know. So I guess the message to anyone is like, if you have the budget to keep SMS running, I would do so in the short term. That's what I'm going to be doing, unless more changes come. Because you know, like I said, if it halves, like worst case, or I mean, worst case would be worse, but if it halves the ROI for you and you're still getting 4 or 5x, then that's still solid. So I would just not make it your primary anymore. You know, work on other marketing channels. So
yeah. And it is still one of the less expensive ways to get going if you're new in the business. Like texting doesn't cost that much money. You can sign up for Launch Control for like $400 a month, I think, for their base plan and send a lot of texts out. So
yeah,
it's still less expensive than sending direct mail, which costs like at this point 60 or 70 cents per piece. So if you're sending out, you know, 2,000 pieces, that's like $1,400, 1,200 to 1,400
yeah,
bucks. That's a lot, you know. So
yeah.
um, and the conversion rate for direct mail is very good. Like we still, I mean, I could do my KPIs, but we got a couple of contracts this week from direct mail, and we haven't even sent out much direct mail. So we do, those leads tend to be of a higher quality than the text leads in general for direct mail.
Mhm.
Probably that's true for cold calling as well, because you're making direct contact voice to voice with somebody. Um,
Yeah.
then, you know, text tends to create some suspicion for people.
Definitely. Yeah.
But yeah, I think we covered that. Unless, do you have anything else before we move on?
No, I think that's everything for the launch control thing. Yeah. So we could switch over to your check-in.
Okay. Uh, yeah. So as far as my business this week, some KPIs are: we made 9 offers. We got 5 contracts. Um, one of those was from direct mail, and then and 4 were from SMS. We sold 3
That's
properties
awesome.
this week, which is great. Say it again.
Yeah. I said that's awesome. 5 contracts and 3 sold. That's awesome.
Yeah, 5 contracts, 3 sold, 1 closed this week, and yeah, the one closed was the biggest assignment fee we've had for the year. I guess I'll just share, it was 30K for an assignment on a piece of land, so that was good.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's nice. Yeah, ring the bell.
Yeah.
Um,
That's awesome.
Yeah, so that was great. And that one, that'd probably be a good one to check in about because it was a long and winding road, right? And another one is persistence. So I was trying to find this on my drive here when we actually contracted this thing the first time because we closed this November 2nd, and I'm looking at the lead card in my Podio. I think that we initially had this under contract in April of this year. I'm trying to see because I'm looking at
Wow.
the transaction card. We had like a 30, or I mean, a 90 or 120-day contract on this thing. Um,
Uh-huh.
and but our acquisitions department contracted it at a really really high price. It's a 40-acre parcel of land, and it was contracted at a price that was way too high. And part of the problem was that we used the tax value to make an offer. So just for people doing land, like tax value is not always an indicator of value. And without going on too much of a tangent, part of why the tax value is low is because you can put your vacant land into a timber program and then your taxes are reduced. So uh,
Mm.
anyway, long story short, we contracted it way too high. I ended up after a couple of months and no luck selling it. And then I called up the seller with the idea that it was probably going to be canceled because we were $150,000 too high. so so I went back to the seller to try for a price reduction, assuming it would get canceled. And so just tried to have a conversation with her, let her know we were sorry, we made a big mistake. We estimated wrong. We looked at the tax value. Now we know we were wrong. I apologize for the inconvenience, the whole thing, and just tried to get her to name what she would really take for the property. And this was probably a 15-minute conversation with her, going round and round, just talking about stuff before she finally gave me a price that she would be happy and satisfied with, which was $150,000 less than what we originally contracted it at. So that's just
Uh-huh.
a rapport building and a connection thing that I was really lucky to be able to do with this woman and get her to where what she really wanted to get out of it or what would work for her. And then we contracted at that price. And that was probably, I think this most recent contract I found in my drive is from July. So I think that was July. And then we sold it. I'm not going to find this stuff quickly, but we sold it. It was basically a 3-month escrow with the buyer because they
Uh-huh.
do some kind of recreational land thing, and they wanted to do. Oh, there was like a wetlands that they had to vet and make sure they could put a driveway and a road in there and all this stuff. So 3-month escrow. So November, October, September, August. So we sold it sometime in July, 3-month escrow. And so then that required a lot of hand holding with the seller and reassurance that we were going to close it, but it was going to be a little bit of a longer close because we had to do these other things. She'd already been under contract with us for 2 months, or 3 months prior. So it was like a 6 month process, and finally we closed it. But it required a lot of follow up, and we even had a scare the week before closing because the timber, when something comes out of a timber program, when it changes ownership, any deferred taxes on the timber program need to be paid at closing if it's coming out of the timber
Uh-oh.
program. So then we thought
Yeah.
we might have to negotiate that with the buyer and that our assignment fee might be reduced by either half of that if we were splitting it with the buyer or the entire 15K of the deferred taxes. So that was a big scare. And I was able to talk
Uh-huh.
to the buyer, and he decided to keep it in the timber program. So we got to have our full assignment fee, which was a relief because that, like I said, it was a nice bump for us.
That's awesome.
So long journey. So I
Yeah.
thought I'd give a thumbnail of how that whole thing went. Um, so that was
Yeah.
that.
That's awesome.
And then, yeah, otherwise we did do a direct mail campaign a few weeks ago. I guess it dropped like almost a month ago, but we've been getting consistent leads. The response rate on it is terrible, compared to what I was getting 3 years ago. I was getting 1.5 to 2%. I think we got about a 0.5% response rate.
Oh,
Those leads are generally good leads, and we have gotten a contract or two. So I'm going to
yeah.
do another direct mail campaign, probably two more mail campaigns in the next couple of weeks, so we can try and get those to hit, as we go through crunch time here in November, December, and see if we can do something with those leads.
Yeah.
I did, for people who are looking into direct mail and wondering which companies to use, I tried a new one this time, and it was called Yellow Letter Shop, because I wanted to just try a different format and a different company and see how that would go. So I was trying to find this. Here it is. I'm going to just show it. So this is what the letter looks like. It's just, I had them do it like an this is my sample they sent me, but it's like an invitation shaped envelope, and it's an ivory color. And then they have like this fake stamp. It fell off. That's why I'm holding it on my finger. It's like a fake stamp, but it looks real. So it looks like you're getting something. And then the font is like a handwritten font. This black stuff is all our sample. It's because it's our sample. So that's what it looks like there.
Right.
And then the inside part is a yellow, like a legal paper thing. And then it's just like, it's like a handwritten font. And so that's
cool.
yeah, and we got a pretty good response with this. And it's just basically, hi, my name is, my acquisitions person. I'm inquiring about the vacant lot in Lewisburg. Have you ever considered selling it? If so, please give me a call, email, or text. I'd love to discuss it with you. We're a North Carolina-based small business, and we will pay cash and make the selling process easy and smooth. Have a great day. And then phone number, email. P.S. If you're not ready to sell but may think so of doing so in the future, please hang on to this letter and call us when you're ready. So that's what I did, and it got at least equal the response rate if I'm split testing the other one that I've done. And I don't have a sample of the other one, but the other one is like just a white letter that looks like, I've done two other ones actually. We don't need to go down in the weeds with this, but you can reach out to me about direct mail stuff if you want more information. The only other company I've used is called REI Print Mail, and they are, a good company. They're started by a real estate investor. They have good customer service. They'll give you a representative that will counsel you on which types of letters are good to send. And he's got great, our guy has great stats at his disposal, and even helped us with which letters work better for land versus houses and stuff like that. So they're really good in that realm. I just wanted to try somebody different in a different format. So I did that. But the one we've sent out with them most we call a white letter, and it's like a normal envelope with a window. And we've tried one that looks like a fake check too. But anyway, so I went on a little bit of a tangent there. I'll stop with the direct mail, but I'm if you got questions about direct mail, reach out to me. Happy to help.
Yeah, that's cool. I might have to look into that company too.
Yeah, Yellow Letter Shop is pretty good. Everything they do is online, and it's pretty easy. So you just fill out a form, and you can customize your letter more easily than you can with the other company we've used. So I was able to customize it very easily and pay everything online. They send you a proof on email, and then they just send it out. So very simple and easy. The other one, I have to go back and forth with them a little bit more to get it done, which is part of why I wanted to go with somebody just to see what the experience was like.
Yeah.
But yeah, otherwise, I think challenges. We had one fallout of escrow because the buyer got a survey and he didn't like the lay of the land, literally the lay of the land. But basically, it's kind of like a flood zone, but it's not technically a flood zone, so he wasn't into it.
Yeah.
We talked about the SMS stuff. And then, we had a JV challenge that I talked about last week with some JV people that were high maintenance, but it looks like we're going to close that one. So that's good. But the main issue with that one is that there was a deed of trust. I think we mentioned this last week, but deed of trust that didn't get a satisfaction recorded after it got paid off. So it hung us up with recording. So, it's a good thing if you're getting a deal before you go and sell it and go into escrow, like just pull up the deed with the register of deeds. Make sure there's not like a deed of trust there that says that somebody was paying it off in payments, because you don't want that to come up at closing and have to track down former owners and former closing attorneys and try and get them to mark that as satisfied in order to close, because that delayed us a couple of weeks. But yeah, I think we'll close that one this week. I think we'll close about 3 this week, which is great.
That's awesome.
Yeah. But yeah, that's all my stuff. That's all I got for now for the business. I don't know anything else we want to check in about. We hit quite a few things, and probably a good time to wind it down.
Yeah. No, I think that was great. I think we're all set.
All right. Well, yeah, let's wrap it up. Any quotes or inspiration or appreciations and gratitude is how we normally wrap this up. So I'll let you kick it off, Jasper.
Yeah, definitely. I had two good quotes. I've got a note in my phone that I started where I just copy paste quotes that I see that I like. So I got two quotes that I thought might be fun to share. So first one, guy by a guy named Matt Higgins. He says, "No visions are ever rendered to us in the dead of night that we are incapable of pursuing at the break of dawn." So I really like that one. To me, that just means that God or the universe or whatever will never give you a dream that you can't achieve. That's what it means to me. So I
Yeah,
like
I
that.
love that.
And then second one is by a guy named Eric Hoffer. And he says, "In time of change, learners inherit the earth, while the learned find themselves beautifully equipped to deal with a world that no longer exists." So
Yeah,
I think that's timely both in the world and then in the SMS changes that we're dealing with.
yeah,
You got to be able to learn and adapt, or you're going to be left behind. So I like those two quotes.
yeah.
So
I think that's
yeah,
great.
I can do appreciations as well. I've been really appreciating my whole team, but especially my SMS team this past couple of weeks have been really helping me. And one of my guys, Sammy, he sat in on a webinar this week because I was actually on another Zoom call, and he sat in on the launch control webinar and took notes and shared them with me. So that was helpful,
That's great.
and I appreciate them for helping me adapt to these changes and everything on the fly. So yeah, very appreciative of my team and yeah, everything that they do for me. So grateful for them. Grateful for the weather here in Scottsdale. Been beautiful, but also chilly. But the afternoons have been really nice, and it's nice to go out in the afternoon now without like sweating and just be 70s or 80s and really nice. So I'm enjoying that, and yeah, I've been enjoying my dogs here as well. They've been always a source of joy for me every day. So really been enjoying that. And then lastly, I've been enjoying sports and especially basketball season. So I'm grateful that that's back and grateful to be able to watch those games at night. And yeah, it's always inspiring to me to see people, the best of the world at what they do. It's fun to watch them. So
Yeah,
grateful for that. But that's it for me.
awesome. Thanks. Uh,
Yeah.
the one quote I had saved this week is one that we've heard before, but Thich Nhat Hanh is a Vietnamese like monk, and he's philosopher. And one of his quotes is, "There is no way to happiness. Happiness is the way." I like that.
Yeah. That's a good one.
Back with the day stacking, like choose the things that make you happy moment to moment, day to day, and move in that direction.
Yeah.
It's not a destination. It's a journey.
Definitely.
Uh, but yeah, I'm grateful and excited to be coming to Arizona to see you and Naja and the boys, the dogs. That's
Oh yeah.
that. So I'm grateful for airline travel and the ability to do that. And
Yeah.
I'm grateful for my health and being able to run around and play pickleball and lift weights and do all the things that I do that bring me joy. Grateful for pickleball because it's a lot of fun and a great way to meet people and get
Yeah.
exercise. So I've been really enjoying that in this fall, beautiful fall weather. I'm grateful for the beautiful fall weather in North Carolina. It's gorgeous here right now. It's like the red, orange, yellow, and a little bit of green still, and all the trees. It's just really pretty with the fall
Yeah.
reflecting off. So grateful for that. And yeah, I'm grateful for this opportunity to meet with you, Jasper, every week. It's always a joy to connect, and I really love sharing resources and learning and getting better at our businesses. And
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's all for me. And if you're watching or listening, leave us a comment, give us a like, let us know what you want to hear more of or less of, or you can reach out to me and Jasper. I don't know. I mean, I guess I'm on TikTok and YouTube, so you can reach out to me there. Jasper, I don't know where people can reach you.
Yeah. They can message me on Facebook.
You're on Facebook? Okay. Yeah. So
Yeah.
Jasper Cool.
Yeah, anybody could find me on Facebook or one of my company pages. That'll be fine.
Yeah. And I don't even know what my names are, but I'm on TikTok and on YouTube. I guess I can put it in the comments. I've got like land deals or investing in land or wholesaling land or something like that. I can't remember what I named it, but
Yeah.
yeah. And that's a wrap for November, whatever day this is, November 5th. Thanks for listening.
November 5th. Yeah.